uh, if it is already established product, or let's say at least some demand is there, the risk is comparatively low, and then one can still kind of try their hand with that product. But let's say for example, any new idea or product that is being launched or at showcase in such events, like how do you kind of search for the demand of that product, because it's pretty new, no one knows about that product, and there is not much information out there about the demand of that product, right? So in that case, let's say if someone has to take a bet on a very new product, in your experience, like how do you go about that? Like, I mean, is it all about the gut and instinct, or like do you still have some ways to figure out the demand for such products as well?
Um, you only buy new products if you are really into the industry.
Okay, okay.
If like if you're a beginner, obviously you will not.
Uh-huh.
Please don't.
Okay.
But if you are an expert in just let's say cosmetics,
Hmm.
you will know what the customers want because
Right.
you deal with it every day. You have the report, or you do it yourself with the customer services.
Uh-huh.
You know the prices, a good range of price. You know the ingredients
Hmm.
the customers want. You know the trends, if it's local sourced, if it's organic, if
Hmm.
it's whatever it is.
Right,
So
right.
you will know if the product has potential.
Hmm.
But if you are not in the industry, just don't
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
Or just do a partnership. It would be much safer.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I mean, yeah, because one of the things that I see with people, I see from all the merchants is like, one is like, if they are trying their hands with drop shipping and then just going with common products, then because the competition is so high, they don't see a success. And then that is just one part. Competition is just one part, but then as you said, it takes a lot of efforts and the right approach, because they don't have that right approach with the common products. Most likely they fail. And then when it comes to the new product, because they don't have the expertise or the clarity or the understanding of the customer plus the industry, that becomes a
Hmm.
risk. And if they are lucky, it works out. If they are not, they just fail, right? I think that's a very valid point, that I mean, uh, that if you don't have expertise in a particular industry, then it's better not to go with a new product initially, and just put your bet on something that is already established here.
It depends on the risk.
Okay.
If you can do it using dropshipping,
Uh-huh.
obviously you won't have to buy inventories.
Right, right,
So the risk would be much lower.
right, right.
But
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I guess everyone I've read Blue Ocean Strategy book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you didn't, just go buy it on Amazon.
Right.
And uh, selling new products,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Ocean products,
Yeah.
is really a must-have, especially these days.
Right,
If
right.
you manage to find a Blue Ocean product,
Uh-huh.
just invest yourself into it.
Right, right.
It's really worth your time, even if it takes years.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth your time. It's if the entry level required is high enough, you won't have a lot of competition.
Uh-huh.
And usually, if you find a blue ocean product, and if the market is small enough,
Mm-hmm.
the big companies, they won't go to catch the product. They don't
Right,
care. If
right.
it's like, if you are in the US market and you find a product which doesn't exist
Mm-hmm.
actually, and it's just, I don't know, like tens of thousands
Mm-hmm.
dollars per year
Mm-hmm.
of sales. It's nothing for the big company.
Right,
Even a few $100,000, it's
right,
nothing.
right,
So it, they won't catch you.
right,
But
right.
for you as an individual,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
that
have even one product like that, it can
it can
give
work
you a decent
definitely.
story.
Definitely, yeah. So this is about the new products. Now coming to the common products, like I mean, so when it comes to you, right? Like I mean, if a product is very common and if the entry barriers are like really low, you normally don't go with that product, because you want to make sure that anything that you are starting up with should have at least, should give you some advantage, right? But since you have that experience, you can take that extra step. But like for example, like I mean, let's say if you have to advise people on, like, even if it is a common product, if they decide to go ahead with a common product, how can they, what can they do basically to make it a success? Like, and not like, I mean, success is a different thing, like I mean, not
Yeah,
probably what can they do
sure.
to reduce their chances of failures with dropshipping in common products.
Yeah, sure. Actually, like any business, if
Mhm.
you want to sell, you must have an advantage on the competition.
Right, right.
Uh, like my last client I told you
Mhm.
about with the bulky industrial items.
Mhm.
It's very simple. The suppliers, as I said, they had no idea
Mhm.
about what machines the products goes
Mhm.
into. They didn't know the market. They had no idea about e-commerce.
Mhm.
Their website was
Mhm.
very crap.
Right.
Everything you can imagine.
Mhm.
So when you see that the product is, you can find the product,
Right.
but they had no idea about SEO, for example.
Right.
So we did a lot SEO campaign,
Mhm.
and we managed to get almost first on every keyword.
Wow, that's
So
really
just
good.
that made us 40% of our sales. Just that.
Wow. Wow.
And Google Ads was to increase the sales, to increase the growth,
Mhm.
because we had about 50% every year of growth for
Mhm.
5 years.
Wow, that's really good.
So far, right now, my client is the first retailer of those
Mhm.
products in France. So it's the biggest one, and in only 3 years.
Wow, that's
So
great.
you just have to be better than the competition. And
Yeah.
in this case, it was very easy
Yeah.
because the guys they was old school, and it's
Right.
very easy to find old school niche in
Yeah.
because it was industrial products.
Uh-huh.
Those guys they have no idea about e-commerce, SEO, internet.
Right. 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 Right.
So just find an advantage
Yeah.
and
So,
push it very hard.
so like I mean, so just to sum up, like I mean, if you can get an advantage at the product level, that is good. But if even if you don't, then that is not the end of the world. You can still uh, uh, gain advantage at marketing level, say be it with SEO, or say be it with running better Google ads or Facebook ad campaigns or other things, right? So it's basically the complete thing.
You can, but would you prefer doing what you said and trying to beat sometimes companies? They
Hmm.
have entire staff team
Hmm.
which are professionals on
Right.
SEO, on Facebook ads,
Yeah.
Google
Yeah.
ads, whatever.
Hmm.
And you often, I personally like to work alone.
Hmm.
And even if I have some partners,
Hmm.
I work alone.
Right.
They have their fees, I have mine.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
But I don't want to compete with companies because I don't want to hire people. If they are
Right.
better than me, I just move on. It's
Right.
I take less time to look for another niche,
Hmm.
much easier to get into,
Hmm.
and it's much more worth my time and my money.
All right.
So
So
just take what's the easiest.
it's a combination of everything, right? Like I mean, find a product that's where you have not much competition, and even if the competition is there, it shouldn't be from bigger companies, so that at least you can compete, and then figure out other stuff, right?
It can be a bigger company. They
Yeah.
just have to be very bad.
Right.
If they are very
Exactly.
bad,
Yeah.
it's fine. You
Exactly.
can do it.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you touched upon the SEO part of it, right? Like, I mean, I know most of the people when it comes to e-commerce and Shopify, for that matter, like they don't just don't understand it because it takes time, right? It takes time, and then because everyone wants to like see that first sales or the first few sales, like within say first few weeks of it, right? So that's why like most of the people
You
they
can
don't.
have the first sale like that, but usually you won't see the profit.
Right.
You can
Right.
have the
Right.
sales, but not the profit,
Yeah. So in your case,
unless you're very lucky.
yeah. So in your case, when you invested in SEO, like I mean, because you have already done that and have experienced success with it, like I mean, can you like I mean, can you throw some light on like how long did it take for you to like before you start seeing the results with SEO? Like I mean, how long did it take so that can probably give an idea to people that like I mean, if they really want to invest in SEO, they should be putting that much effort. Otherwise, they shouldn't even consider this channel. Yeah.
Uh, Actually, just to make sure we're talking about the same stuff. SEO just means search engine optimization,
Yeah,
which
yeah, and
could be
not the ad.
Google,
Yeah,
or which could be marketplaces.
it could be anything.
On
Like,
Google,
uh-huh.
at the minimum, it takes me 6 months to start
Okay.
the seeing the results.
Uh-huh.
Usually, it takes 1 to 2 years
Uh-huh.
to have the real results,
Uh-huh.
and but which take time
Mm-hmm.
and which has a lot of competition, especially these days.
Right. Right.
So it's a lot of work, but
Mm-hmm.
it's worth it.
It's worth it. All right.
But you have also
Market.
SEO on marketplace
Uh-huh.
like Amazon,
Uh-huh.
eBay, Etsy,
Mm.
or in my case, I started on Taobao, which is a Chinese marketplace.
Right.
And the SEO there, the competitors are very good. They are
Uh-huh.
very good in China,
Uh-huh.
and it was very tough. But SEO on marketplaces pays very fast. In just
Okay.
a few days or a few weeks,
Uh-huh.
you can have the first place and have a lot of sales.
Oh, that's
It's
wonderful. Yeah,
to start. It's a good start
all right.
there.
So yeah, that's a wonderful insight. Like, I mean, so you can have parallel tracks wherein, like, I mean, initially in the initial days, if you are planning to go organic, you can definitely you can run Google ads, Facebook ads, but at the same time you can find out marketplaces and implement SEO there, and then in parallel you can implement SEO for organic like search engine. So all tracks are actually working for you. That's a wonderful
Sure.
insight.